And a very happy Thursday to you at 12:06 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in New Mexico.
John, Governor Gavin Newsom is still on his tour of podcasts nobody's ever heard of to curse up a storm. Here's Gavin Newsom yesterday on the Find Out podcast.
You know, I'll be candid with you. I'm sitting there, I was pointing fingers. Where the hell's my party? I was saying a few years ago after Dobbs. And then I realized, hey, brother, wake up, man. What
was he, Hulk Hogan?
Brother, wake up, man. What you sitting there preaching? How about practice, you son of a bitch? You're the governor of California. Stop complaining. Get your together. Honestly, I literally had to come to Jesus with myself. I was like, damn, I'm having my own intervention here.
I'll tell you, I don't know what the impulse is to swear when you go on podcasts that no one's listening to, but everyone seems to have it. That's not just a Gavin Newsom thing. Have you noticed that?
People feel free. They got to let the F words fly.
Get your together.
No one goes on Meet the Press and it's F this and F that. But if you go on your gardener's podcast, then you sound like a Red Fox album.
There are people that believe it makes you sound more authentic.
There is nothing Gavin Newsom can do that'll make him sound authentic at all.
What about Katie Porter?
What a bunch of bull.
Well, she's pretty authentic. She's authentically awful, but that's real.
Get out of my shop.
What do you think she's like in traffic? Or let's just say she goes in for therapy, anger management session or two, and the person says to her, you know what would lower your blood pressure? Golf. Have you ever thought about taking that up, Katie? Could you imagine her on the golf course? Swing and a miss, swing and a miss, swing and a miss. Oh, and the ball goes in the pond. After the ball goes in the pond, next will come the club, the bag, the person she's playing with, and then the cart.
I'm me.
Run for the hills if you see that woman on the golf course. That's all I can say about that. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, it's been a big week in terms of uncovering political corruption at the local level here in California. Most recently, we found out about a highly suspect deal that was put together at the county level, where the LA County Board of Supervisors agreed to a $2 million payment to the CEO because Measure G passed and changed her job from an appointed position to an elected position, and she said that she was damaged because of it.
She said it did irreparable harm to her reputation, and she had mental stress from it. So what does the LA County Board of Supervisors do? They secretly vote in closed session to give her, Kezia Davenport, the CEO who's been appointed since 2021, $2 million. She still has her job, although she's going on mystery leave for the next 6 months. But they gave her $2 million, and they did not disclose it until it was leaked by reporters from KPCC this week.
How could you justify giving a woman $2 million because the voters agreed to change her position from an appointed one to an elected one?
There is no justification outside of this is straight up corruption, and it's not the first time.
And what the hell is she doing for 6 months?
Good question. With full pay.
Yeah, those Kathy Lee cruises only last a week.
Let's hear more about this. Here is a report from, I would say KCAL, but they've changed their name to CBS LA.
A $2 million settlement approved by the LA County Board of Supervisors is raising eyebrows tonight. The payout is going to a high-ranking county leader.
Yeah, it was agreed to over the summer, but is only now being made public. CBS LA political reporter Tom Waite joined.
Almost like they didn't want people to know about this crooked deal.
Gee, I wonder why.
What do you think she makes anyway?
Way too much.
Do you think Kezia Davenport, the CEO of Los Angeles County, makes more or less than Barbara Ferrer?
Well, few make more than the fake doctor.
The CEO of Los Angeles County makes $570,000 a year. Barbara Ferrer makes a lot more than that.
No, thank you.
What was her name again? Kezia?
Kezia Davenport.
What kind of name is that? You're pregnant and you have 9 months to come up with a name, and that's what you come up with?
CBS LA political reporter Tom Waite joins us to explain why taxpayers are footing the bill for it. Tom?
Right. So, Susie, LA.
Because we voted for 5 morons that waste our money.
And we're going to turn 5 morons into 9 morons.
Right. So, Susie, LAist first reported this story, and it surrounds Kezia Davenport, LA County's CEO. Right now, the position is appointed by county supervisors. But in 3 years, voters will pick the CEO. Davenport says the change is causing her physical and emotional mental distress, and she wants to be paid out.
What a bunch, to quote Katie Porter, here it is.
What a bunch of bull.
Okay, who do you think came up with this? Her or Better Call Saul? Because Larry Parker's dead.
She's got mental anguish because the county supervisors put a measure on the ballot that was voted by the voters to change that position to an elected one. This is insane.
Well, everything that the brain dead voters of California, everything that they do causes me anguish. Where's my $2 million?
But in 3 years, voters will pick the CEO. Davenport says the change is causing her physical and emotional mental distress, and she wants to be paid out.
She did get paid out $2 million, which is only like 4 years' salary for her.
Okay, before we get into this, I already have a theory as to what happened here.
Yes.
Kezia is black and female, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And she's currently the appointed CEO of LA County.
Yes.
The initiative that changed that from an appointed position to an elected position was sponsored by current LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath, who's a white female, correct?
Yes.
Quite frankly.
Okay. It's no secret that she wants that job. And she pushed that initiative because that would create a lane for her to then take that job. My working theory is this. Because Kezia knows that she's going to be replaced by Lindsay, this is the ransom that they had to pay so that she wouldn't call them racist.
So the county has to pay $2 million so Kezia Davenport doesn't say that Lindsay Horvath's a racist?
Yes, that's my working theory. And because it's taxpayer money and not Lindsay's money, she doesn't care. Write the check.
LA County Board of Supervisors meeting July 29th. County CEO Kezia Davenport delivers a devastating report about the county's financial crisis.
We are looking at what I call a tidal wave of profound impacts, all hitting at the same time.
And yet you still ask for $2 million.
Good for you, Kezia.
The county's broke. I'm the one that does the numbers, so I know the county's broke. That being said, I need $2 million.
And a 6-month vacation.
It would be at this same meeting in a closed session where Davenport would accept a $2 million personal payout from the county. Why, you ask? A county source tells CBS LA it's all connected to Measure G, which was approved by voters last November. Measure G expands the Board of Supervisors and changes the county CEO job Davenport currently holds from being appointed to an elected position.
It's like the mayor of LA County.
The level of stupidity in this story is so deep it's hard to count.
Which means Davenport would have to run a campaign in 2028 to keep her job.
So wait, that's why she needs the $2 million? Because she's going to have to buy some ads?
Well, maybe that's what she plans on doing. Maybe she's going to be a candidate for this office, and she's going to use that money as her seed money.
How is there no oversight for how this money is being spent, where these 5 morons can just decide unilaterally to spend it on a $2 million payout for the CEO?
Well, because they never intended on you finding out about it. It was supposed to be a secret.
Which means Davenport would have to run a campaign in 2028 to keep her job. Our source says supervisors feared Davenport would sue the county for allowing the change.
People seem to...
And you know, LA County, we settle every lawsuit no matter how frivolous it is.
Okay, but just think about this for a second. The argument that she's making is, I don't like the outcome of an election. And if the outcome of an election is not good for me personally, I can sue you and demand money. How is that allowed?
Well, I'll tell you how it's allowed, because it was allowed by...
Quite frankly.
And...
Quite frankly.
And...
Quite frankly.
And...
Quite frankly.
And...
I was like,
That's why.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think they didn't want her to call Lindsay a racist.
People seem to think that a county job is a Supreme Court appointment, a lifelong term. That's not the case.
Sarah Sadwani is a professor of politics, and she's also on
the beauty that was on the Independent Redistricting Commission that was a quote-unquote independent who was one of the most partisan Democrats on that commission, and she is the one that was standing at the podium with Gavin Newsom and Adam Schiff and all of his cronies in favor of Prop 50, which would get rid of those district lines. She's a real piece of work.
Her day job is constantly going in local news as the political expert.
Sarah Sadwani is a professor of politics, and she's also on the task force that's in place to implement Measure G.
This idea that her job
How does
was
she get on every single board and commission in this state?
And how much do all of those pay? Pays to be connected, I guess.
This idea that her job was being harmed is not very clear to me, and seems like somewhat of a frivolous claim.
As Davenport detailed in her presentation, the night she accepted the $2 million payout, the county is facing a barrage of financial woes. The devastating January fires, overall tumultuous economic conditions, unpredictable support from the federal government, and the unprecedented $4 billion in payouts to victims of sexual abuse crimes stretching back decades.
That's why they don't want to put anybody in juvie anymore.
That occurred in LA County's juvenile facilities. Zev Yaroslavsky served on the LA County Board of Supervisors for 2 decades.
This is not a reflection on her performance. I've been an advocate for an elected county executive as long as I was a county supervisor. The county of Los Angeles.
Zevi, can't you just call this corrupt? Because that's what it is.
Well, he wanted to run for that office too before he got too long in the tooth.
The county of Los Angeles would be the 12th largest state in the union if it was its own state. To have it governed by a board of 5 people is really unseemly, and it causes delays.
Maybe the county's too damn big. We ever think of that?
How about breaking it up?
Supervisors last year narrowly approved sending Measure G to voters in a 3-2 vote, with supervisors publicly disagreeing over it.
there is no requirement for the elected countywide executive to have the necessary skills or job qualifications to effectively allocate a highly complex and regulated municipal budget.
I'd love to see what Fezia's qualifications are.
Oh, wouldn't that be grand?
Because we know how much the LA County Board of Supervisors cares about qualifications.
This is the same board that put the village idiot in as public health director.
Budget.
This idea is uncomfortable to some people, and I understand that. And I trust the voters.
Last week, Davenport went on medical leave. A county spokesperson says it's unrelated to the settlement. That spokesperson says Davenport is expected back early next year. Susie?
All right, Tom, thank you so much.
There you go. The corrupt dealings going on at LA County, where the CEO, who makes $570,000 a year, gets a $2 million payout because she got sad that Measure G passed, and she's going to have to run for that seat in 2 years.
She's out on medical leave. We won't tell you what it is. We'll only say that she's, quote unquote, expected back next year. Not that she's coming back next year, that she's, quote unquote, expected back next year. Are you sure we didn't put Anthony Rendon as the county executive? Because he isn't showing up there or at third base in Anaheim. 800-222-5222 is telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you missed yesterday's show and you want to find out what Katie Porter had to say on her first interview after, well, you know, the bullet train wreck, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcast.
What a bunch of bull.
Whether it's the Apple Podcast app,
Hello, everybody.
Spotify,
Please.
iHeart. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes.
Little D.
You could do a Google on the YouTube.
Absolutely.
You could get the free KABC app.
I'm running for governor because I'm a leader.
You can get the free KSFO app.
I'm me.
You can get the KMJ Now app. We're on that station Saturdays at 2.
I don't care.
There are so many different ways to listen live to our radio stations and download all the podcasts.
Get out of my shop.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Gino Vanelli at the Saban Theater on October 30th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Saban at the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing.
Coming up later on in the hour, there is yet more corruption going on in the county of Los Angeles, and the district attorney, Nathan Hochman, is all over it. Also, while the Los Angeles Dodgers are on the baseball diamond in October, hoping to win another World Series, the Angels, they're in court. We'll have those details for you coming up in moments. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. Well, we know about this dirty deal involving the CEO of LA County that certainly looks and smells bad. But Randy, there is even more corruption that's been exposed at the county level in Los Angeles.
And this one has to do with something we talked about a lot years ago. COVID unemployment fraud, where this state doled out billions and billions and billions of dollars to people that did not need it, did not deserve it. We're talking $20 to $30 billion. Johnny, as you remember, some of that money ended up at Vegas steakhouses.
Oh, yes. I was there to see it with my own 2 eyes, too.
And they still wouldn't tip.
No, they wouldn't.
Well, Nathan Hochman, the new district attorney of Los Angeles County, has announced charges for over a dozen LA County employees that, while employed by LA County, were filing for unemployment to get those big fat COVID checks.
I wonder how long it's going to take for the union to get their jobs back.
For more, here's NBC4 in Los Angeles.
We're following developing news on 13 LA County workers accused of committing unemployment fraud with a COVID connection.
And one of them was a social worker.
That's the least surprising thing I've heard all day.
NBC4's Jonathan Gonzalez live on Newsman. Tell us what the district attorney had to say here. Jonathan.
Yeah, Michael, District Attorney Nathan Hochman says that these 13 LA County workers took COVID unemployment relief money while they were actively employed. While he says 13 workers, of course, is a tiny fraction of LA County's workforce, he says he wants the public to look at the other number here, nearly $500,000 that he says were effectively taken from taxpayers.
Just for those people. And by the way, Johnny, if you're wondering why it's only 13, that's the ones that we can still file based on the statute of limitations. There was a whole bunch of this going on under the previous DA who declined to do anything about it.
The only surprising part of this story so far is that Barbara Ferrer's name wasn't on the list.
LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announcing charges Wednesday against 13 LA County employees he claims took advantage of COVID unemployment funding.
Essentially stole it from the actual taxpayers and the people who really needed it in the first place.
It was such a weird time. You remember, for the people that legitimately needed it, they were the ones getting denied and couldn't get on the phone with EDD. But the criminals, the crooks, and the people using Scott Peterson's name got checks and checks and checks.
Well, what was interesting, you referenced the steakhouse incident. In that situation was that, and I talked to the waiter about it, the people who were in there in the high-end steakhouse in Las Vegas during the throes of COVID, yes, I went, and they were paying for their steaks and their drinks and everything else with California EDD cards. That waiter told me that when he would card them, because many of them were young, when he would card them after they would order an alcoholic beverage, they would show him a driver's license from a different state. So you would pay for your meal with a California EDD card, but when it came time to show your ID for the martini, it was a Louisiana driver's license, which of course meant that it was an organized crime ring who was stealing money from the taxpayers of California and spending that money in Las Vegas. They were able to get their money. They were able to get through, but the people who deserved it, they couldn't get anyone to answer the phone.
In the first place.
The LA County Auditor Controller's Office conducted an audit and found that these 13 workers took a combined $437,000 in state unemployment funding. The workers representing 7 different LA County agencies.
These are county employees who were employed at the time full-time by either the county or...
Yeah, they weren't getting furloughed.
No, of course not. Government work never slowed down.
By either the county.
Barbara Ferrer made sure that everyone else had to stay home, but all those county workers, they're essential, including the ones that were stealing from the unemployment fund.
By either the county or their next employer, yet applied and made applications to this COVID relief EDD fund, saying in essence that they were unemployed.
Hochman says,
and by the way, there's 2 things here. One, what these employees did is wrong, and I'm glad that Hochman's doing something about it. But why was our system so unbelievably easy to exploit to the tune of $20 to $30 billion?
Well, especially when we're in the state that also houses Silicon Valley. All of the computers that the world uses come from the state of California. The smartest tech minds on planet Earth are all here. Yet we can't build a computer system that can weed out the criminals and get the money to the right people. Are you kidding me?
Hochman says these workers repeatedly checked forms indicating they were unemployed, but most did not list who their most recent employer was. The funding came from the state's...
And they still got the check.
Well, maybe there was an honest miscommunication here. Because if they worked for the county of Los Angeles, maybe they thought when they checked the form that they weren't doing any work.
The funding came from the state's Employment Development Department, or EDD, designed to help people who lost their jobs during the pandemic. However, LA County taxpayers were on the hook to reimburse the state for that money.
It is shocking at these county employees who are receiving their county check every single 2 weeks are also telling EDD at the same time that they're unemployed and they receive no money.
We call that double dipping.
Well, and think about this. Think about what type of work gets done at the county level. These are the people who decide who gets the kids when there's a custody dispute. These are the people who decide whether or not your restaurant is clean enough to be in business. These are the people who decide whether or not you're following the rules of probation. These people have the power of God over the residents of LA County. And if they're so unethical that you can't even trust them to not steal from the state, how unethical do you think they are at their day job?
The cases all stem from 2020 through 2023. The 13 workers are now facing felony grand theft charges, while other audits are continuing. LA County Chief Audit Executive Robert Campbell.
The vast majority of the county workforce works tirelessly to represent and assist some of the most vulnerable people in our population.
That's editorializing.
Okay, think about this for a second. Whenever someone gets stabbed to death on the Metro, the first thing they say is the Metro is clean and safe. This is an anomaly. When you have, what was it, a baker's dozen get caught stealing? Oh, the county workers are doing excellent work. They're fantastic people, ethical too.
And we all deserve and should expect a government that is built on integrity.
Hochman says more people may be notified that they may have committed similar types of fraud, but whose cases can no longer be prosecuted due to statute of limitations. But he's still.
And Hochman pointed this out in the press conference, that is because when these cases were being presented to George Gascon.
Look, it's horrifying.
He didn't want to do anything about it.
Whoa.
I bet you we're not going to be allowed to fire them either.
They do have very good protections.
But
so just think about that the next time someone comes to your restaurant and shuts you down because they say you're not clean enough and you wouldn't pay the bribe.
But he still has a message for them.
If you did steal the money, give it back.
They're not going to do that, Nathan.
No, they're not.
Now, in addition to felony charges, those 13 people are also facing at least one misdemeanor each. If convicted, they face a maximum penalty of 3 years in prison.
Yeah, but these are nonviolent crimes, so we know they're not going to prison.
No, it's going to be catch and release.
We know one person has already pleaded not guilty. The others are set to be in court next month. In the newsroom, I'm Jonathan Gonzalez, NBC4 News.
There you go. Arrests made in the massive unemployment fraud that we saw in California during the COVID days. And it turns out a whole bunch of them were working at LA County.
And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Tomorrow, we're going to move on to other stories. Next week, we'll have forgotten about this story altogether. When we move on, the unions are going to be able to protect these people from losing their jobs. Maybe they'll get reassigned, maybe they'll get demoted, maybe they'll get moved to a different office or something. But they're not going to get fired over this because of the power of the public employee unions in Los Angeles County. But just be aware, you're not going to get honest services from these people because these people are dishonest criminals. Philip Show, 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. So earlier this season, and by season I mean baseball season, I went with a friend to Dodger Stadium who has season seats, good seats, and I saw the Dodgers play the Angels. And as many of you know, I'm a big Angel fan, so I wore my Angels jersey to the game. And if you've ever been to Dodger Stadium, you know that wearing the jersey of the opposing team could get you in trouble if you're around the wrong crowd. Thankfully for me, in the expensive seats, most of them were well behaved. That being said, they would josh you every now and then when given the opportunity. For those of you with long memories, you know that this season, despite the fact that the Dodgers did very well and the Angels did not make the playoffs, the Angels swept the Dodgers both in Los Angeles and in Anaheim. They beat them all 6 times they played. So I was there on the Sunday afternoon game, which completed the sweep in Los Angeles. And a Dodger fan was walking up the stairs to leave the stadium after the game ended, and they looked at me and they saw the Angels jersey and they made a face at me. And I looked that Dodger fan right in the eye and I said, "Listen, buddy, in October, you guys are going to be watching baseball. We're going to be watching Judge Judy. Can you at least give me this?" And as it turns out, I was right. However, we're not just watching Judge Judy, we're watching the court system in Orange County because, Randy, the Angels are in court.
There is a trial that just got underway, and it is the family of former Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs suing the Angels organization because they say that the Angels were negligent in preventing Tyler Skaggs from overdosing on fentanyl-laced Xanny bars. Or actually, it was Oxys.
That's what I was thinking. I thought he was taking painkillers for his arm, not Xanax to, I don't know, mellow out.
He might have been taking a few things. For more, here's NBC4 in Los Angeles.
Opening statements wrapped up just about an hour ago in the wrongful death civil trial of Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs. His family says the Angels organization is to blame for Skaggs' overdose death. The Angels say Skaggs was the only person responsible for his death. NBC4's Eddie Chang live outside of the central.
How about his dealer that worked in the clubhouse?
But wait a minute. He was the one that chose to take the drugs. If you take drugs of any kind given to you by a family member, a neighbor, a coworker, someone at your church, someone who's a member of a team that you're playing on recreationally, it doesn't matter where you get it. If you're the one that takes it, the responsibility is on you.
Now, John, is this your 100% unbiased opinion, or is this the fact that you want to make sure the Angels can still afford Mike Trout?
A little of column A, a little of column B, although Mike Trout's going to get paid regardless. We're just not going to get the next one on free agency.
Live outside of the Central Justice Center in Santa Ana. Hetty, we also heard testimony from the first witness here today, huh?
Well, Michael, attorneys tell us they are expecting to call up dozens of witnesses, including former and current players, as well as executives. First up tomorrow morning, Tim Mead. He was the Angels' longtime vice president of communications. Legal experts say at the heart of this trial is what did the Angels know? More than 6 years after he was found dead in a Texas hotel room, the widow and family of Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs sits in the front row of a Santa Ana courtroom. This as their family attorneys set out to prove the Angels could have prevented the 27-year-old pitcher's deadly overdose, but didn't. Attorney Sean Hawley, in her opening statement, described how for years, Eric Kay, the team's director of communications, allegedly showed up to work, quote, very high.
Oh, boy.
Okay, that's not something that's unique to the Angels, though. Randy, I'm not going to ask you which radio station it was, but have you ever worked for a radio station where one employee was selling drugs to another?
Several. And I mean several employees. Let's just say the people who worked in street team drove nicer cars than the people in sales.
And that everyone knew, including, she says, Mike Trout, who allegedly offered to pay to get Kay help.
Oh, that could be pretty damning.
Offered to send him to rehab.
Also, once again, showing how great of a guy Mike Trout is.
The Skaggs family says the Angels knew Kay was a drug addict and a drug dealer who sold drugs to players, including Skaggs, but says the team did nothing about it.
The person who caused the death was Eric Kay, but Eric Kay was acting in the course of his job.
Where did they get this attorney?
The backwoods of Appalachia?
The person who caused the death was Eric Kay, but Eric Kay was acting in the course of his job when he gave that pill.
Was his job to give oxys to pitchers?
Who is supposed to believe that? Artie Moreno is too cheap to make sure that there's working air conditioning in the gym. You think he's going to pay for oxy?
That pill was a deadly fentanyl-laced oxycodone pill, which Kay was convicted of supplying to Skaggs. Kay is now serving a 22-year federal prison sentence.
We contend that Eric Kay...
But he didn't have any money, so they got to go after the Angels.
Okay, I'm officially going to go on the record here. I felt really bad for this guy when he died because he took drugs he didn't know he was taking. And he was a star pitcher for the Angels. By all accounts, he seemed to be a pretty good guy. That family is greedy. They deserve nothing.
We contend that Eric Kay would not have been available to cause the death of Tyler if he had been adequately supervised.
This afternoon, the Angels team lawyer defended the ball club, saying the Angels knew nothing about Skaggs and Kay's illegal drug activities, which they say the men concealed from the team.
We had no idea that there was drug dealing going on in the clubhouse.
And I'm sure that's true because they don't have day-to-day contact with these people. They don't know what's going on. They don't know who's out partying the night before a game. They don't know who's drinking on the plane. They don't know those things. In fact, I remember hearing a story about Chick Hearn, the legendary broadcaster for the Lakers. And he said that when the team would go on the road, and he was there all through the Showtime era when all kinds of shenanigans were going on, he said that when they would check into the hotel, he would specifically tell the person at the desk to put him on a different floor than the rest of the team because they specifically wanted a hear no evil, see no evil approach to going on the road together. That wasn't something that was unique to Chick Hearn. That's what all of these people do. Because if you become the hall monitor and you know what's going on every time you turn around, they're going to hate you and no one's going to want to play for you.
Tyler Skaggs was a part of Angels baseball's family. He died because he made the reckless decision to take illicit drugs. Angels baseball did not kill Tyler Skaggs. We wish he had told us about his troubles, and we could have helped him.
Now, attorneys tell us the Skaggs family was seeking $210 million, an amount that the team rejected. This trial.
$200 million?
Yeah. No, they are greedy. They are greedy. They're greedy. Give them nothing.
Now, attorneys tell us the Skaggs family was seeking $210 million, an amount that the team rejected. This trial is expected to last until mid-December. We're live in Santa Ana. Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
So you wouldn't give them a dime?
Not one red cent. I wouldn't give them free tickets to a game next season. Screw those people.